name's David Lorimer. I'm the Program Director of the Scientific and Medical Network and the Beyond the Brain Conference. And I'm here with my friend, Dr. Eben Alexander, who's one of our speakers. And I'm going to ask him first how, Eben, you became interested in consciousness beyond the brain.
Well, having spent my life as an active neurosurgeon, I've always been very interested in consciousness and the brain-mind connection, but I must say that my hand was forced in November 2008 when I had a week-long coma due to a severe bacterial meningoencephalitis that sent me deep into coma for 7 days, gave me an extraordinary experience that occurred when modern neuroscience would say that my brain was too damaged to have any such experience. And I've spent the 14 or so years since that coma experience working with scientists around the world to come to a deeper understanding of the mind-brain connection, the nature of consciousness, and ultimately the nature of reality. So, mind and its kind of role in creating brain in the physical universe is really where I've gone in my recent work with other scientists.
Yes, and that's really what Jeff Kripal calls a flip, isn't it? You really literally flipped from materialism to idealism.
Well, that's absolutely true. And, materialism is so unquestioned by so many people because that's, the brain creates consciousness is the general teaching of our modern science. And yet ever since the advent of quantum physics, almost a century ago now, it's become very clear to many scientists that our understanding of brain and mind and the nature of conscious awareness is far, far, far from complete. And that's where I think the world can grow tremendously through the scientific efforts now to overturn that disproven view of materialism and start examining some of the more facile philosophical kind of worldviews that allow a more ready understanding of all this. So those that include a mind in some form, the dualisms. But my position, as we often discuss in our talks and presentations, is really one of idealism, of acknowledging the primacy of that mental layer of the universe that we all have access to.
And that's what we're experiencing in this very moment.
Exactly, which we are experiencing in this very moment. So that's where it all becomes very exciting. And of course, the very question of free will is in the balance in many ways, because materialism would try and deny that we have any actual free will and say it's all an illusion. Whereas I think those of us converging on idealism recognize that free will is inherently part of this discussion and part of the evolving understanding of human reality based on this science and its effort to explain the nature of reality.
Yes, indeed, Eben. And we're going to have a dialogue at the Beyond the Brain on deep time. Maybe you could just say a few words about, just to introduce that topic.
Yes, well, I think for the general listener out there, it's very easy to simply say, deep time is the way that you can have your life flashing before your eyes and have it being a very complete kind of exposure to the important events of your life, but without having to actually relive those events. The interesting thing is that descriptions of life reviews from NDEers often suggest that they occur in what I would call a metatime or deep time state, which is completely outside of our sense of time. And that's why all the events of one's life over many, many decades can be included in this very complete review that people describe. And so in essence, it's just a way of seeing that there's a whole different way of looking at evolution of events in the universe that is above and beyond our kind of a simplistic interpretation of time flow in the earthly realm. But an acknowledgement of deep time allows us to easily see how things like reincarnation do not have to involve any kind of paradox, and that loved ones would be there to welcome us when we make our own physical transition. And it makes no sense to talk about have they, quote, already reincarnated, unquote, because deep time allows for the primacy of relationships and of love and of the soul journey and lessons that we're here to learn to occur. without any kind of such paradox happening. So I think deep time is a very important concept that is simply a whole higher ordering of time, or meta time, to explain evolution of human understanding.
Thanks so much, Eben. Well, I really look forward to discussing this in more depth with you. And if you're listening to this, then do join us at Beyond the Brain, 4th to 6th November. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, David.